Welcome to the Canadian Bro Show. My name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show. And we have a new logo, a new banner on YouTube, and that is in the backdrop. As you see below there, please help the show out by subscribing and check our show out if you haven't seen it at YouTube at the Canadian Bro Show. The handsome gentleman to the right of me, directly in front of you on the left, is none other than my friend of over 52 years, Mr. Johnny Leister, the co-host of the Canadian Bro Show podcast. Johnny, how you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you for asking. And how are you, Mr. Paul Bale?
I'm doing really good. I'm filming from Kelowna in the Okanagan Valley in western British Columbia, and Johnny is filming from his own private studios within the amazing library, downtown Vancouver, the Vancouver Library. Johnny's the only person in Vancouver that has his own private studio. Still not sure why, but we absolutely love it because it gives us freedom to film an episode every Sunday. Johnny,
Yes, sir.
we are doing part 2 of a really fun episode that we did, and the episode is called Peace is Where There Is Not Any Signal, part 2. And what that means is essentially we're talking about men's mental wellness and mental fitness. And Johnny and I are older. You know, we have over 120 years of life experience collectively. I'm turning 62, and I know it's hard to believe, but if you listen to our shows, you too can get healthy and change and turn your life around, as Johnny and I have. Johnny's turning 61. And we've been sharing our journey in our health series that we do at the Canadian Bro Show podcast. And Johnny, this is part 2. And what we were getting into, like, nature at that point, and we wanted to talk about that. But before we do that, Johnny, I want to do my men's mental wellness in today's society. Everybody, this is my opening monologue so that we can fully explain, and I'll bang through this pretty quick. Welcome back to the Canadian Bro Show podcast. This is part 2 of Peace is Where the Signal Isn't. And a lot of the times that is in the bush, in wilderness, on a cabin, on a lake, fishing, hiking, brotherhood. The idea is today we're talking about something a lot of men were taught to stay silent about, and that is mental wellness, especially men in their 50s and 60s, although Johnny and I acknowledge it could be as early as your 30s and 40s or as late as your 70s and 80s, if lucky enough, if you have a healthy life and lived that long. This generation, and some call the Generation X, the boomers, and this generation carried and carries enormous responsibilities. They built careers, they raised families, they paid bills and survived divorce, loss, pressure, expectations. And while many did it without ever really talking about it and what was happening to them internally. And this is the big problem with mental wellness in today's age. We need to address this, and we're going to do it today in this episode. But today more men are starting, finally, to ask deeper questions. You know, what gives life meaning now? How do we really find peace? How do we stay mentally strong without pretending we're invincible, as men have a tendency to do, whether they are or not? We're seeing men turn towards fitness, philosophical ventures, spirituality, myself included, and Johnny. Nature, one of my favorite things in the world is getting out in the bush and nature. And brotherhood, reaching out to your fellow men, and being honest about your discussions and sharing your experiences, and hopefully by doing that it can open up new doors and worlds into the answers that we're all seeking at this point. And this is the Canadian Bro Show podcast. However, this is also, we got female bros out there, and they're going through the same thing. So please understand that. Johnny and I aren't doctors or psychologists, but over 123 years of life experience, we got a lot of information, and good information too. And, when men turn towards fitness and philosophy and spirituality and nature and brotherhood, they also want to go into therapy. They're not scared of therapy anymore. They're not scared to answer those hard questions. Mentorship, I'm a basketball coach, so I meet a young man in his 16. I'm training one right now, and he wants to play the club system in Kelowna. Well, I got a quarter right across. I'm training him. So this is something I do. A lot of these things that Johnny and I are talking about, we do these things. That's why we wrote the show. And so thank you for joining us. And honest conversation, not because, we're weak and tired and oh, poor me. No, sometimes that's true as well. But it's because we're absolutely not desperate, but we just need to take the necessary steps to find a way to educate ourselves moving into this stage of our life. And it's because we're evolving and we want to evolve more. This episode isn't just about having the answers, although that helps. And by watching this episode, you might actually get some answers. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And it's about opening a conversation. It's about, because mental wellness isn't just about surviving life. It's about learning how to live life fully. Right. And Johnny, that's at the end of the day, and if there's one thing that we hope people can take from today's conversation in this episode on part 2 of Peace, is where there isn't a signal, meaning internet, TV, phone. Men do not have to suffer in silence anymore, Johnny, do we? No.
But don't bottle yourself up, really.
Exactly. Real strength is not bottling everything up, is exactly what Johnny said. I don't know how you knew that. Until it breaks you. Real strength is self-awareness, growth, connection, and having the courage to be honest about what you're carrying. And your vessel is what's carrying you. Whether it's through friendship, fitness, faith, family, nature, therapy, or simply talking to someone you trust, there is no shame in working on your mental wellness. And Johnny,
yes, sir.
We want to take this episode and we want to talk about getting out into the bush, getting out in a cabin, going fishing, renting a van life and living in the van life until you get to the cabin, and then parking it and going fishing and hiking and brotherhood and nature and reading and not being on your iPhone and not having to be at work and people yelling at you. And so what would you like to say is one thing that's after that opening dialogue, what is one thing that you'd like to showcase and share with people?
Okay. Well, I feel better about myself. I feel more mentally fit and more physically fit and more emotionally fit than at any other point in my life. When I was a young man, I was floundering. I lacked direction. I lacked commitment. I was bloated. I was overweight. I made little baby steps towards manifesting something kind of in a willy-nilly way here and there. Yeah. But here I am at 60, and I don't really see myself as 60. I'm only 60 chronologically. Really, this version of John Leister 7, because it was 7 years ago. It was 2019, which I considered to be my rebirth year, where I made significant improvements to my life. And you and I are living proof that it is possible. I think one of the reasons that we're talking about this is that we know bloody well that there are a lot of people out there, men and women, once they reach 40, once they reach 50, they look at the future and they say to themselves, this is as good as it's ever going to get. This is the apotheosis of my life right now. It's not going to get any better. I had all these opportunities. I squandered them. So I'm just going to, maintain this until my final day. And I'm very glad to say, it's very sad that those people will never achieve their goals, but I'm very proud in a good way, not in a boastful way or in a bragging way, to say that I will not be one of those people, because ever since 2019, I've been more productive than ever before. And I know that you have also made significant improvements in your life.
Well, if I may interject, Johnny, it was my epiphany year too, 2019, trust me. There's a reason why we're doing this show and we've been friends for so long. But please go on. It's just amazing that we experienced the same thing at the same time, and both of us had life epiphanies, and here we are. It's incredible.
And some people are self-starters. Some people come into this world and they hit the ground running. The Arnold Schwarzeneggers of the world, they never let things get into the way. Any hiccups, any challenges, they learn from the experience and they move on. I was reading an interview with Schwarzenegger one time. He mentioned that he broke his leg. He actually broke his leg. He had a broken leg for 6 weeks when he was a young man. And he remember thinking that this could be the end of his career. But no, he healed, he got better, and he went back to the gym. And it's a really important life lesson. There are going to be hiccups. And some of us are not self-starters. For some of us, we're sort of flapping our wings in life without a specific direction. And something has to happen. There has to be something that triggers us into moving ourselves towards where we need to go. And for me, it was loneliness. I was just spending way, and I've told the story a million times, I was just spending way too much time by myself. And I just hit this brick wall where the way I was living my life, eating junk food every day, and just sitting in front of the screen for hours and hours, night after night, I reached a saturation point where I had enough. And if Nietzsche has this theory, Nietzsche the philosopher, he has a theory that we live the same life over and over again, which makes no sense to me, but who knows, right? It's all hypothetical. It's called the theory of eternal recurrence. If that's how it works, if I live my life all over again, I'm down with that. If I have to go through all of what I had to go through to get to where I am now, it was all worth it. Because at the end of the day, we have to live our lives in the present. Because that's when we feel most empowered. And that's what trips so many people up. They dwell in the past, what they should have done, what they shouldn't have done. Oh, I can't believe I did that. Oh, I tried to do something and it was too hard and I quit. Pet peeves and global events. The more we think about what's beyond our control, the more disempowered, the weaker we feel inside. And that's why people become alcoholics and drug addicts and junk food addicts. And I'm a recovering junk food addict. I'm a recovering sugar addict.
Don't forget bipolarism and depression. Those ones are huge.
Yeah. And, I was in therapy for a year, and one of the things that I had a great therapist who said to me, if you live your life feeling really good one day and feeling really lousy the next day, and a lot of people do that, they flip-flop between, the emotional spectrum.
Yeah.
It's draining. And imagine being in love is a wonderful feeling, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if you felt like you're in love all the time. You probably would have a very short life. You just burn out. Like your body would probably just burn you with crisp. You short circuit. It's too much, right?
Yeah.
He said,
hey, you could do a lot worse than short circuit, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Too much. There's just such a thing as too much of anything, even the good stuff. Yeah. You have to like yourself unconditionally.
Well, I think you need to learn how to love yourself.
Yeah.
Liking yourself can be a fallacy. It can be a lie that you're living when you know that's not the truth. But I think what you just said, that was an incredible answer, bro. That was streaming from the soul right there.
Yeah. Just don't fight who you are. A lot of people are trying to be something that they're not. When you have a conversation with someone and they're talking a way that seems incongruous with who they really are, you ever have that kind of conversation?
Oh, yeah.
An example would be a really smart guy who feels like he has to swear every other word, the F-bomb, right? Why is he doing that? Because he thinks it's more light. He thinks he'll be more like part of the hoi polloi if he talks like his version of what a blue-collar guy should talk like. And I've done that in my past, and I've noticed, and it's not a good way to live. Because people pick up on that. They pick up on that inconsistency, that lack of parallel between who you really are and who you're trying to be, and it makes them feel uncomfortable, and it makes them feel insecure.
Yeah, they can feel your negative or nervous energy and anxiety that you're hiding behind.
They feel that inner conflict.
Yeah.
And that's what turns people so. And I'm boy. I mean, I could talk about this for days on end because I went through it. When you have an inner conflict about yourself, gosh, I should be doing this, and you're making excuses. Again, it creates tension, and those feelings are global. Those feelings, I hate to use this phrase, it's so cliche. It's kind of like paying it forward in reverse, right? You're going through like this huge chip on your shoulder. Everyone you have an interaction with, that rubs off on them. And a lot of those people are not even aware of it too. It's kind of like when you go to the supermarket and you're in a good mood and you're going to cook a nice family for Friday night, and then you get to your car and you're in a lousy mood. Like, what happened? Because you picked up on all the negative feelings of all the people in the supermarket. They were talking about their pet peeves and global events and politics and how much they hate the president.
Yeah.
We have to go through life. I know I've talked about this many times before. I'm repeating myself. But we have to go through life like the Starship Enterprise.
No, I mean, Johnny, there's no hurting getting it off your chest. Yeah. And I think you're one of the best at doing it. I mean, that was a full stream right there. You couldn't have answered that question any better. But and moving on, if I may, because a couple of the things, quite a few of those things resonate with me because Johnny and I went through a lot of the similar things. And that's again, there's no coincidence why we're doing this show. And when I finally started this show after wanting to do it for about 15 years, I really just didn't know how to start and where to start, and I didn't believe in myself, and I wasn't sure if I was be able to pull it off, and it was desperate that I wanted the opportunity to be able to explore an aspect of my life that I feel very comfortable about, and that is talking. As a trained actor and being a professional athlete in front of 15,000 people and nationally televised European games against some of the best EuroLeague teams in the world. And those are just slightly less than the NBA. You've got to be able to be comfortable in your own skin. It just took me a long time to get there. But I tell you, one of the reasons where I first found myself, and it was when I got my first camper van. And I was floating around in Vancouver in the hospitality industry. That was my first trade. I did, 25, 26, 27 years in the hospitality trade, you name it. I worked every place in Vancouver. And eventually I went to the hotels, and because that's where the most money was. But as I was going through that, I was in my mid to late 20s. I was partying far too much. I was making great money, but I was going out and just living the good life. You're young. I didn't have an education, but I had a good trade, and I was making a ton of money. But I was absolutely miserable. I was living this vicious cycle of after working really hard and being disciplined for so many decades, I'd make a ton of money and go out with my friends and party like it was just madness. And then wake up the next day and I spent all of my tips and went back and did it again. I did this for years and decades until I finally became a professional basketball player at the age of 29. But one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up nature is what saved me from the partying and from the clubs and from the ladies and, doing everything I can to do anything that this show's about, and that is attacking mental wellness and living in a very fractured and very dark and dangerous place in someone's world.
Brief interjection. How many people wake up every morning and the first thing they think is, I'll never do that again, right? And then they do it again. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
That's the nature in a nutshell.
Yeah, it is. Well, I did that thousands of times, and after you do it about 100 times, you think there's something wrong with me because I keep on doing it. So what I used to do is I would disappear to nature. I would go camping, but in order for me to camp, I didn't get my driver's license till I was 27. Which is very strange. I used to ride my bike everywhere I walk, and which was good. And that's why I was in such great shape. But I decided to get my first vehicle. And because I wanted to go live in the woods, in the camps, and in a camper van. So I wanted to buy a camper van. So I bought my first camper van. It was a 1971 Volkswagen Westfalia pop top. And I bought it for $800 off a family, a very nice family that obviously were struggling. And they had to sell their vehicle, and they needed the money, and the $800 would have gone. They had 5 kids, and who knows what their story was, but it worked, it run, and I got my license, and I learned how to drive a stick shift, and it was a 4-speed 1400 RCC banger, gutless vehicle, but I lived in it for in between jobs 3 months in the summer of Kitsilano Beach, while I played basketball and trained. And what it did is it allowed me the opportunity to save money so that I'd be able to continue my dream of being a professional basketball player and not spend all my money on booze and drinking and ladies and partying and having a good time, but to actually get my ass to Europe so I could play professional basketball. So in the Volkswagen Westfalia, that thing took me to Simon Fraser University. I worked out before in 1987 in that summer. I lived in my camper van on Kits Beach before there was no parking restrictions, and every morning I woke up, made coffee, and worked out on Kits basketball courts. By the way, they just got redone. Kits Fest is coming up this August. And my God, I'm going to be there. It's going to be incredible. I'll do a show on it. But
that would be a fun reality TV show, Life in a Van.
I'm telling you, but really what it was talking about is I wanted to experience nature and simpler living. Simpler living meant no rent. And that's, if you look on YouTube, you see all these guys that got YouTube channels, and Vanlife is extremely popular, and Overland and so on. Chrome Valdez, it has the Chrome project that used to be Van City Van Life, which I watched for 8 years. And so men are moving towards the outdoors because they want to get away from the downtown, the party scene, the high rises, the constant traffic, the pollution, the noise. And really, this episode's about getting away from the signals that disrupt our growth as men. And in my camper van, the first thing I did is I would go to local national parks or provincial parks or even beaches. Every night I would park somewhere different, and every day was a new adventure until I had to go back to university and do that whole system. And for me, I would dream about cabins on a lake and fishing trout from my cabin on a lake and gardening and making my own herbs and growing fruit trees and camping everywhere because I have my camper van. I can go wherever the camper van took me. I could camp on the street and go to the beach at night and light a small fire discreetly. No one would know, just by myself, and look at the stars, and then just go to bed in the camper van and do a next journey. Off-grid lifestyles, less digital overload. Back then, I didn't rely on a cell phone.
Well, we didn't have that stuff.
I think I might have, but it's so long ago I can't remember. And what happened is I started to feel like many, this modern life was completely overstimulated, and it was party, and it became empty, and it disconnected myself from the personal growth. And I started to, as you said, wake up and go, I'm not going to do that again. And then proceed to do it over and over and over again. Yeah. If you're retired and you're in your 50s and 60s and you have this opportunity, buy a camper van. Try out Vanlife. And we'll talk about it more later because I have two other camper vans. I had a Ford Econoline 350 extended wheelbase, saved my life on a couple of journeys across America. And it was a pop top as well. And when I played basketball in Europe, I retired, I bought a Mercedes 208 diesel 4-berth. And that thing was money. I never wanted to give it up. But anyways, that was my thing. Explore the outdoors. Get a camper van. Live van life. Go camping, hunting, and fishing. Change your life. Even if you don't know how to do any of those things, it's really fun learning. And I highly advise it. I'm going to be buying my fourth van at some point in the near future. And it will be part of this show in the near future. Johnny, what do you got?
Okay. Well, I'm just going to go over some general points that we've covered before. Of course, diet is important. If you're putting garbage into your body, you're going to have a garbage life. Now, all things in moderation, but I used to eat KFC and pizza every night and all these carbs and dead calories. And I did it because it was fun to do. It's kind of instant gratification. But why do people behave that way? They do it to escape from reality.
Okay, so let me just interject quick because you've shared this many times on our show, and you made a comment in our pre-game or pre-show about when I talked about fishing at a cabin and going camping and getting away in the wilderness, and your comment was something to the effect of, "Wow, that sounds really nice. I've always wanted to do something like that," and I just brought up and prompted you for the outdoors. You are an urban chap. You don't go on vacations. You work all the time.
Well, I was in Australia a couple years ago.
I understand that, but tell us about what would you do if you could get out in the woods and go camping and rent a camper van and go camping and you had, say, 2 weeks. Is that something that you would consider doing? And if you did do it, where would you go?
Well,
where would you like to go?
I would definitely need someone to come with me. Going to Kelowna or going up to northern BC for a couple of months or a couple of weeks even. That does sound great. But, I would be a babe in the woods. I've never hunted or fished. I have no idea.
No, you can go buy a fishing rod and a .22 and a hunter's knife and get some fishing gear and go learn. Right? You haven't done it, and you're 60 years old.
It would be
is what I'm saying. This is the whole thing about the show.
Yeah, I would need someone to show me how to do that stuff.
Well, what would you show yourself? Is it something you would do?
I guess I to show that I could do it because civilization hangs by a thread, and it's a very frayed thread at all times, no matter how things good are. And I look at these. You've seen all these movies about the end of the world, Mad Max, and all these apocalyptic scenarios.
Yeah.
All of those things could happen. So we could go
Johnny, they not only could happen, they probably will happen, and it's going to happen. It might even happen in our lifetime. That's why I need to get another camper van and get out of here.
And the people who can do that stuff, they will be, the gold standard. They will be the people who are at the top of the food chain. It won't be the writers of detective fiction. It'll be the people who can build houses with their bare hands. How to do that.
No, I can build a tent and I can build a log cabin. I know how to do that. I did it in Cub Scouts.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's not difficult. It's just, a lot of people that get out there, if you don't have your phone, Johnny, and you don't have your routine and your writing and your job, you're going to be a lost 60-year-old dude in the woods and not knowing what to do to survive next. Is that what you're saying?
I think what turned me off camping is I remember when I was in Henry Hudson, I think my tent mate was actually our mutual friend, Eddie Romagnoli.
Yeah.
We shared a tent. I don't know where we were. We were way up in North Vancouver. We were in a log cabin.
No, you guys were in North Vancouver. You were in Deep Cove at Camp Elphinstone.
That's exactly right. My God, that's a repressed memory. And I woke up one morning. I remember I was very happy, but I wasn't happy most of the time.
I did Camp Elphinstone many summers in a row.
I woke up one morning, we had a red tent, and it was covered with slugs. I didn't know what a slug was. I didn't want to know what a slug was. I'd never seen one before. And I felt like I was in a horror movie. It absolutely freaked me out. It's like, I want to go home. Yeah, Mom, Dad, come pick me up.
Yeah, you were too cold. You were scared. They probably told ghost stories, and you almost peed yourself. Yeah. I understand.
But it was fun in the sense that there was a strong feeling of camaraderie.
Yeah, it was fun.
And again, to get away, it's therapeutic. But I was happy. I have to admit, when my dad picked us up, me and Brent Lawrence and Eddie Romeo in my dad's car. Remember Brent Lawrence with the long black hair? Remember him? He was going to Henry Hudson. He picked us up. I remember my dad rolled down the window because we all smelled, because we hadn't had a bath in a week.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So this is exactly why we wanted to do the second part of the show, is because Johnny is not the only guy out there that's never experienced the great outdoors, and this is the great Canadian North.
You make it sound very appealing.
Sorry?
You make it sound very appealing.
No, dude. What you need is, when I get my new camper van, I can take you on a 2-week journey if you can get that, or several weekends in a row, and I can show you myself where you can be comfortable. And because I've lived in 3 different camper vans, and if I had to liquidate my modest portfolio, I would definitely go buy some acreage and live in my camper van and probably build a little tiny home and do exactly what we're talking about in this episode. Because if that's not you, doesn't mean that it can't be you.
No, it can be an aspect.
For me, it's worked, and I miss it. And I think about it every day. And because even though I'm an urban guy, and I've got a house, and I've got properties, and I'm a real estate guy, and I've got a Canadian Bro Show, but I get my new camper van, Johnny, I am going to do the next segment, and I'll still play hard. I'll still stay focused. I'll still live my game. There'll still be the Canadian Bro Show podcast spelt correctly on this logo. Don't know why AI messed up on the other one. We'll fix that. And I will be doing episodes of me on the road in van life to educate people like yourselves that have never experienced the great outdoors and how to live in the great north of Canada. It doesn't have to be igloos, snowstorms. There in British Columbia alone, you can put France, Italy, and Germany all together in British Columbia and still have room.
We have a lot of elbow room. Are you going to grow a thick beard like Dan Haggerty and Grizzly Adams?
Yeah.
The Life and Times of Paul Bale.
Yeah, that's funny.
With Ben the Bear and Denver Pyle.
It's just, at the end of the day, it's something that always resonated with me. I always loved the outdoors. I grew up in Kitsilano Beach. To me, the beach and the sand and the trees and the outdoors and the wind and the rain, that was everything. That was my own, that was my way. But I am, at this stage in my life, I am going to hit the road again, and I'm going to take the Canadian Bro Show on the road in the van life, and I'm going to do a van life series segment and add it to the Canadian Bro Show. In the meantime, would you like me to go to the next one?
Sure, bring it on.
So this one is going to be very beneficial, and this is something we've both been dealing with since 2019. I even started before that, and that is therapy and emotional openness, which Johnny and I have talked about in our other health series. We've done about 8 or 9 other episodes. It's really, what it does is that it's still growing slowly, but becoming far more accepted, and that is therapy. That is men in therapy and emotional openness. Men have a great tendency, especially the Brits, and I was born in the UK, to be a little bit tightly wound.
Stiff upper lip.
Yeah, and stiff upper lip, and hello, and you know what I mean? They'll state something, and then they'll at the end of it say, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? And it's like, dude, you just stated something, and now you're asking me a question after you stated? I'm confused. But anyways, men over 50, and let's just say men over 50, because a lot of people can retire early. Some people don't even wake up until they're 50. Some never wake up. But we're talking about people in our age category. And they need to go to therapy. You need to go to therapy. Even if you don't think you need it, go. Find something that's like easy. It's like the kindergarten of therapy. And it's going to be soft questions, and they're not going to ask you any personal information. You don't know anybody. You can be just chilling. Just experience how therapy can be beneficial to you in the ways that you may never understand if you didn't go. That's all I'm saying. So talk about depression. Talk about what's important to you. Or are you bipolar? The sooner you understand that you're bipolar and you are depressive, and it's going to help you understand exactly how to heal and what to do by going to therapy to heal a specific nature that you've been cultivating your entire life. And, addressing childhood trauma. I mean, this is one of the things that men do not ever do, and women, is they don't address the childhood trauma, which you can carry like heavy baggage for the rest of your life. And some people never solve it. Can you imagine how much more life you could live if you actually addressed the fears and the damage that was there, but you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to address it because you're scared to death about how somebody's going to find out that you're a failure, or that you've been abused emotionally, physically, psychologically, sexually, obviously. This is this is not a children's show. This is an adult show. We're not going to take this in any depth. We just want to be able to bring topics up that people will understand themselves, and you choose how you want to address those topics. And that's why we do the Canadian Bro Show podcast, and that's why we're happy to be here, because hopefully it'll help somebody. It's helping me right now. I'm telling you right now.
Sorry to interject, but you just reminded me of a movie. Have you ever seen the movie Good Will Hunting with Matt Damon and Robin Williams? Robin Williams played a psychiatrist, and Matt Damon played this incredibly intelligent. He's like an Albert Einstein.
Good Will Hunting?
Yeah, he had a super intelligent mind, but he was like
the movie was called. They wrote it. Good Will Hunting.
And then Ben Affleck. And at the end of the movie, Robin Williams, he finally
they won an Academy Award for Best Picture, and Best Actor, and Best Screenplay.
And Matt Damon, he finally opens up at the end and talks about his
exactly.
And
this is what this show's about, bro.
And Robin Williams says, it's not your fault. You were a child. He abused you. And I think a lot of people are walking around with guilty consciences. They think, I'm to blame that my mom and dad abused me. You're 100% not to blame. And that feeling is what keeps us bottled up and not allowing us to grow and become.
Get it out, bro. Breathe. And men, a lot of men, I've been married and in a relationship for 28 years. And there's a lot of men out there that have been divorced or going through divorce the first time. And I know clients of mine and friends that I know have been married 3, 4, 5 times. So it's like an addiction to them. And that's their therapy, is they think they're going back and married. Well, I mean, I've screwed up the four times. This time I'm going to get it right. Well, what happened the first, second, third, fourth time, bro? And who knows? It could be anything. It could be the women. Maybe he's got bad taste in women. Maybe they're all after his cash, or maybe he had no cash and they wanted somebody that had cash. I mean, it's just, life goes on.
Sorry, one brief interjection. A lot of people are looking for external solutions.
Yes, of course. Of course. And this whole episode is not about external. If the only external options in this episode is nature. Go into the bush. Go camping. Go rent a cabin. Go rent a camper van and take a month off and go journey through the Okanagan Valley. And you'll be surprised how much you learn about yourself when you're alone. And your safety in the vehicle. Bring food. Learn how to cook. Learn how to read a book. Learn how to go fishing. I mean, there's so many things you can do, but at the end of the day, we're talking about, when I mentioned discussing divorce and loneliness, well, Johnny, everybody has dealt with loneliness, greater or less. Some people not at all. I've never been one that's sort of a lonely type of dude. I've always enjoyed my company, and when I'm alone, I found it, a really good time to write or read and work out and train and do things that I really like. I have no problem with that. But at the end of the day, even if you're not lonely, sometimes you get lonely. And the question is, why are you lonely? So take a deep, harder look inside your heart and your soul. And if you're lonely, find why you're lonely and take care of that. You've got to take care of these things. You can't live with the burden of carrying it. The other is emotional learning and communication. Communication, people just do not know how to communicate. I think a large percentage of human beings have no idea how to communicate properly, and it's a big challenge. And without communication and doing it correctly and watching your tone and staying at an even equilibrium, read, get educated, learn, do therapy, learn about yourself. And then you'll have no problem communicating it because you'll find that you're in a much better place and you're more confident and you're more grounded and you're not as high and low as you used to be and you're not having mental anxiety. And at the end of the day, the stigma that can be caused by anxiety and loneliness and lack of emotional communication is it's a weakening and very hurtful synergy of energy and anxiety. It can be really hurtful. The strong angle on this is strength today is no longer pretending that you're fine. But you have an opportunity to get better. And that's the key of that point.
Yeah. I'm so grateful that we grew up in an age where we didn't have this technology. I mean, it really is the best of both worlds. Because you look at this is kind of an old man thing to say, but you look at a lot of kids today, they're just looking at their phones. You see a nice gal, a good-looking gal and a good-looking guy, they're out on a date and they're texting. Or they're watching a YouTube video while they're eating their dinner. And again, poor communication. And I know I don't want to insult anyone, but all the time.
So Eddie brings over really quick a story. Eddie Romagnoli brings over, he's taking care of twins from his ex. And they come over to Vancouver. They're on the island. And so he comes them over. I invite them over and they come over and they hang out. They come in, they sit down, they say hi, and both pull out their phones and don't say a word for 40 minutes. And I looked at Ed the first time, and then I'm having a conversation with him, trying to get them engaged and enjoying they weren't interested in anything that we had to say, and they were 13 years old. Oh. And it just shows to me, that is absolutely tragic.
That's kind of ominous.
It's really, really sad. And we're talking 3-4 generations younger than us, Johnny. Yeah. And that's the future generations.
I love technology. I'm no Luddite, but everything has a dark side, and that is the dark side, is that communication skills are spiraling in the wrong direction.
Exactly what I just said. The emotional context and to communication is they have no idea. Yeah. Communicating to them is looking at a little phone.
Right. Emotions.
So what do you got? What do you got next?
Okay. Again, I'm just going to go over some basic points, I guess, that we talked about.
If you repeat yourself, I'll just go on to my next one because people have.
Okay. Well, again, just self-acceptance. Just accept who you are. Don't struggle. Don't fight. Don't resist. If you like Star Wars, if you like all the good stuff, this is the age to be living in. Put yourself out there. Do a podcast. Get a YouTube channel. You might meet someone you spend the rest of your life with. You might meet someone who can open doors to you. And that's what I have in my mind's eye for myself. There's someone out there who's going to believe in my stories as much as I do. Now streaming on Netflix. We have some later. So again, self-acceptance. Just don't fight who you are. And that's why I was such a procrastinator for so many years. So often in my life, I was trying to be someone that I wasn't meant to be. And again, it just made me feel weak inside, and that's why I became a junk food addict.
Dude, you need to come with me in my camper, man. I'm going to take you in the bush. I'm going to take you hunting, fishing. I'm not a great hunter, trust me, but you don't need much. I mean, we're talking about rabbits. We could catch a rabbit, and I know how to skin it and gut it and cook it. And no, it's delicious. Great protein, bro. And plus, you won't even notice because you'll have so much tequila and beer in you that it would be, oh, this is delicious, Paul.
I think that would be a prerequisite.
Yeah. I love rabbit. Just don't overcook it.
Okay.
Anyways.
I can't eat Bugs Bunny. He's so cute. What's next on your magic list?
So when we go on the camper van out in the bush, one of the things that I would recommend to men to try, if you haven't done it before, is in therapy. A lot of men in their 50s and 60s, and they're on YouTube. There's actually channels where they bring like 4 guys from India, and they're all in their 60s, and they want to give them, and they've never had Western food before. So they put down like, Baconators, like Wendy's Baconators with like triple thing of meat and bacon stacked and French fries. And these guys are from tribes in the middle of nowhere in their countries, in Pakistan and India and all these things. It's hilarious. There's a whole series on them on YouTube. And they all sit down and they film them. And a lot of these guys can't even speak really good English, but they have beautiful outfits because they know on TV, right? So they're wearing their tribal head dresses and the silk and everything, and they look very sophisticated. But these people are eating like, curry and lentils and catching fish from the streams and growing their own vegetables and having lots of spice-induced food, right, with India and so on. And so they put it down in front of them, and they try it for the first time, and every single one of them go, what? And they all love it.
Oh, really?
They love it. They're like, oh, my God, this is good. And the French fries and the dip, they've never had it. And I've only seen one guy not actually like one thing, but at the end of the day, this is about exploring therapeutical ways that you can understand. So if I take Johnny into the woods and we go camping and we rent a spot and the camper van's safe, we got our own space to sleep, we got a tent, we got the fire going, we got lots of food. The one thing that has been used increasingly amongst men dealing with PTSD, depression, bipolarism, addiction, midlife crisis, I could go on. I could say another 5, is a therapeutic way is psychedelic assisted healing to help one's mental wellness into realms of the mind, spirit, and soul that perhaps you've never been or don't remember. And believe it or not, it actually is working. And I have clients in my business and friends I know that have tried it, certain things, like, as an example in Canada, marijuana, Mary Jane, whatever the hell you want to call it, is legal. So I have an old friend I've known for a long time who's always been very clean cut. Never had drank in his life, never did anything, and went through a bunch of traumatic stuff, and was in a TP with a whole bunch of other people going through the same traumatic stuff. And somebody lit he said it was a hash marijuana joint combo, probably with something else in it. I don't know, PCP, angel dust, who knows? And he actually had to be part of the therapy session, so you had to actually sign a waiver saying that you're going to partake in the tea that's been exchanged, and they're going to smoke the peace pipe. I guess that's what that was, or in fact, it was something different. And so he signed off his waiver, and he went. And he said he had the best weekend of his life. And it was actually in the tea was psilocybin mushrooms, and in the joint or the peace pipe was hash and marijuana and perhaps something else. And in the baked good, that they ate at the end, was probably tainted with something even more powerful. And he said he had the most incredible weekend of his life. It's not for everybody, but it is something that is absolutely happening right now. Psilocybin is from the organic, psilocybin, the mushroom plant, and you have to be careful on your dose. So microdose if you're interested, starting small. The next one is ketamine therapy. Ketamine's been very popular in the 21st century because a lot of people use ketamine to really loosen up and relax.
I feel like ads for that on the internet.
Yeah, essentially, I was in South Beach when I met my wife when one of my roommates had a propensity for hardcore drug use. And the only way that he could get what he called Special K was he had to break into pharmacies and steal it was a liquid horse tranquilizer,
Oh boy.
which is what it's made. And so you can just imagine what that scene was like. The first time I found out that he actually broke into a pharmacy, because I heard in South Beach there was a bunch of break-ins, and I found out that my roommate, who's a hardcore drug addict and an alcoholic, and a crazy partier, had all kinds of crazy parties, was having a party, and O.J. Simpson. I came home from work. I was working under the table back then. This is before 9/11, just as a bartender. And I came home, and O.J. Simpson was sitting at our kitchen table, and there's like 30 people in our apartment. We had a one-bedroom apartment in South Beach on 8th and Meridian. And O.J. was sitting there, and he was drinking, and he was drunk, and his girlfriend was doing a huge line of a Vegas line, you know. That's not one of the drugs I recommend for...
Is that cocaine?
Yes, at South Beach, yeah. But this is about... we're talking about echinacea, retreats. We're talking about stuff that can take you and help heal you. I know somebody that did echinacea, and they quit drinking altogether after taking echinacea. Yeah, he said he had a really rough trip, but he went to some darkness and some light, and anyways, he quit drinking. So it can work. But going back to O.J. Simpson, to see O.J. Simpson in my condo in South Beach, he wasn't allowed to play any private golf courses anymore in South Beach. So
I'm assuming this is after.
This is before he went back to jail when he stole his own memorabilia. Anyways, he was there, and my roommate, who was just wrecked out of his head, and he was wearing a large diaper because he was on ketamine, and he was sparkles all over his body. It was just insane. And he introduced me to O.J. Simpson, and O.J. stood up, and I looked over at O.J. I put my hand out, and I saw his hand. There's no way those gloves would have ever fit those hands. His hand was twice the size of mine. And I got big hands. And his girlfriend, after doing the big Vegas line, looked up and said, "Oh, hi, Paul. I've heard a lot about you." She had a little dust right here. And she looked like his ex-wife, the one that he supposedly whacked. I swear to God, it's a true story.
That's not creepy.
No, it is. But we got a little sidetracked there. But it's at the end of the day, stay away. Ketamine, I don't know about that therapy. I know that P. Diddy was involved in ketamine in his parties, and I just don't want to go there. But at the end of the day, we're trying to heal. So if you feel that you want to try something a little bit out your comfort zone, make sure that you get the right recommendation, make sure you get the right support system, and make sure you're comfortable doing it. Right. That's all.
Right. Very good.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
And I've just got one more after this, Johnny, and we're pretty much closing up. So if there's anything you'd like to share?
They're going to kick me out of here in 15 minutes probably. So far so good. I guess I have one more thing that I want to say, and that's...
We'll make it quick, and I'll just finish mine. We'll close her up.
Sure. Avoid negative people. There are people in our lives, they're half glasses of water, they're half empty, and sometimes relatives. And this is a very controversial point, some people say family. Well, what if your family member is a serial killer? What if your family member is a really awful person? I don't buy that kind of tribalism. I think that it's important to disconnect from people who seem to be deliberately negative. They have nothing positive to say. They are chronically complaining, and they don't like it when other people are trying to achieve their goals. And some people actually try to undermine those of us who are trying to manifest our mind's eye vision of themselves. Michael Caine said it best in The Dark Knight.
Love Michael Caine.
Because Bruce Wayne, he can't have, Bruce Wayne, he's such a naive guy in some ways, character. Because he's like, Alfred, I don't understand the Joker. He's not a bank robber, he's a different kind of criminal. And Alfred says to him, "Sir, some men just want to see the world burn. That's all they want. They're devils.
Yeah.
They're minions of the devil." And so sometimes we have to be around with people at work or maybe at family functions, but we owe it to ourselves to minimize as much as possible because again, we're all empathic. We all absorb each other's feelings all the time. And to
Yeah,
have that mindfulness is a superpower, because a lot of people don't
absolutely.
have that, and they're not even aware of it.
And I think that's where we're going to end. We could go on. I got a few more points, but honestly, our health series is going to continue. We can do that. Right now, we've got about 50 plus minutes into this show, and I think we had a really nice chat. And what Johnny and I like to do at the Canadian Bro Show, and Trent, is when we invite people, we want people to feel comfortable. At the end of the day, peace is where there is no signal, whatever that means to you. Is it van life? Is it camping? Is it hiking? Is it fishing? Is it brotherhood? Is it cabins on the lake? Could it be the cabin that you own on your own lake that you could fish on? I mean, be a true hoser and enjoy the Canadian Bro Show and the Canadian Bro Show podcast. This is episode, I believe it's episode 76. And Johnny and I just wanted to say thank you for joining us. This episode is going to be up in the next couple of days, and I just wanted to say thank you kindly for joining us. And it's really special that Johnny and I are able to share this show, this opportunity. It's free. Our content's free. Yeah, we're really experiencing an unprecedented growth in the last few months. People are really catching on, and we appreciate all of the people. Our subscriptions have gone crazy, and as you can see, the subscription right above my forehead is, if you could kindly help us out by subscribing and liking and sharing, and please comment if you have an idea for a show and you're a guy in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and you would like to talk about it, or you'd like to come on the show. Johnny and I are openly looking for people to come and interview, and it can be female bro, it can be a male bro, it can be whatever bro you think you are.
We're very inclusive.
Very inclusive. We don't discern, we don't judge. We just want people to share their heart, spirit, and soul. And thank you kindly for joining us. On behalf of Johnny, Johnny, did you have some of your reading ready today?
Sure. Well, if you're going to
all right. Well, okay, Johnny, could you tell everyone a little bit about your writing? And sure. Before you go into the reading, take a deep breath and relax, and explain to everybody your character, the year, where it's located, and give everybody that haven't been to the show a little bit of a treat.
Thank you so much. I'm a self-published author. My hero is named Lee Hacklin. He's in his early to mid-20s. He's a private investigator. He's a smoker and a drinker and a ladies' man.
I'm just going to get a book.
Sure. He has a heart of gold, and he loves to help people. And I'm just going to wait for Paul to get his book, and then I'll read an excerpt from chapter 1. I started doing this in 2019. Anyone who wants to be a self-published author, I highly recommend Draft to Digital. It's free, it's easy to use, and what it does is if you want to write a book, it springboards your books to different platforms. So all my stuff is on Kobo and Barnes and Noble and Pure for other platforms. And I use posts to my wall to design my book covers. So I'll just wait for Paul to put his headphones back on, and we're back. Okay, my latest Lee Hacklin mystery is called Band Off the Run. Here we go. Chapter 1. New York City, 1978. Not safe word. Hey moron, speak of the language? You just walked past 3 signs in my front lawn. One says no trespassing. The other says trespassers will be shot. The third sign is my favorite. It says, the owner of this house has more guns than the United States Army. Get lost. Good evening, sir. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm the world-famous private investigator Lee Hacklin. Perhaps you've seen me on TV. The only thing worse than a rent-a-cop is a Democrat. 2 hours ago, sir, you ordered a large pepperoni and sausage pizza from Guido's on Jamaica Avenue. I sure don't blame you, sir. Their pizza's top shelf. The boy who delivered it,
hey, Guido.
Mike Grant, he's 16. He hasn't returned.
How you doing?
His employer is worried. His mother is worried too. He never showed. That's the last time I ordered from Guido's. The only thing that's worse than a Democrat is an Italian. Sorry about that. No, please don't take it. You're philosophical, sir. Are you making fun of me? No, sir. I'm taking you very seriously. Where's Mike? I don't effing know. I stepped inside and gestured at the Pinto parked across the street from a decrepit house that was due for a day with a wrecking ball. To share our brave, Mike, Pintos are more likely to explode than dynamite. The driver's side door was painted with the Guido's logo. The man in front of me was middle-aged, punchy, and he was clad in a tattered terry cloth robe. His breath stank of whiskey. The inside of his house smelled like a backed-up toilet. If bubonic plague ever makes a comeback, this place is the epicenter. He looked at the bar, tailed, and tried to slam his door shut in my face. I forced my way in and gave his jaw a right hook. He landed on his fat behind and whimpered. The dark paths some men choose for themselves. I opened a bedroom door. A teenage boy wearing a t-shirt with the Guido's logo on it was tied to a chair.
Hey, Guido.
His mouth was duct taped shut. I carefully removed it and untied him. I'm sorry to tap into you, Mike. Are you injured? No, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm Lee. 1 minute, please, and I'll drive you home. I returned to the living room and did what I do best. I took care of business. One broken neck later, the number of cockroaches in New York City was reduced by 1. And that's chapter 1 of Band Off the Run, which is my latest Lee Hacklin mystery. Thank you so much.
Yes, Johnny's a prolific writer, and Lee Hacklin is a pretty crazy dude.
He's a badass!
In the 70s, he chain smokes. He likes to drink. He's a ladies' man. But underneath it all, he's got a heart of gold, and a soul that's covered by the white light of love. You'd never know it by his breath. Those cigarettes are unbelievable. Johnny, I think he smokes the American version of Gidantes. And when I briefly experimented with smoking cigarettes, very briefly, I had a Gidante once. I almost threw up. It was so disgusting. And anyways, Johnny's a great writer. We also like to finish the show after Johnny does the thing on our latest books. And I'll go with mine first, and then Johnny can show his book, and he's going to do a pun, and then we're going to sign off. This is a book that I brought up before, and this guy is an excellent writer. He's written, his name is Stephen R., of course, my thing's backwards, Stephen R. Covey, and it's the habits of the top highly effective people, professional lessons in professional change. And the reason why I chose that is because of this episode. And that is, if you are embarrassed to go to therapy or you're too scared to share in front of strangers, I totally understand that. It's not for everyone. But you can always start by go to the library and buy a book, or go on YouTube and join a channel that gives you direction and education.
You really
and
gave me attention.
Absolutely, and this book does it. It's weathered. I've had it a long time. It's sticky. I'm going to have to wash it. I don't know what that sticky stuff is. I don't like it. And Johnny, what are you reading right now?
Well, this is a book you may have heard of. Inside the library, believe it or not, there's a used bookstore. There are very few used bookstores left in Vancouver. Check it out, bro. I'm halfway through.
Oh.
This book cost me $12 with every penny. I'm about 500 pages into it. It's so good.
Oh.
It's so good.
I have to admit, I've read it a number of times. One of the best books I've ever read in my life.
Savoring ever. I mean, some of it is, when they get into the whole history of what happened in South
Yeah, it's still brilliant. It's unbelievable.
There's such great, memorable characters. Okay, here's my pun. I found a webpage that gives advice on how to care for optic nerve damage. It's a site for sore eyes.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Johnny, you kill me. You slay me, bro. Anyways, thanks again for joining us here at the Canadian Bro Show. On behalf of Mr. Johnny Leister, a very prolific and talented writer, my name is Paul Bale, the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show. Thank you for joining for episode 76. This would be the second part of basically peace is where the signal isn't. And the next episode we're going to do in this is actually going to be Vanlife. And I'm going to take a deeper dive into Vanlife. And I'm going to... Anyways, we'll get into it then. But thank you very much for joining us. Johnny, have yourself a great night. And everybody, subscribe, like, share, comment. Please comment. And if you're interested in being on the show, the Canadian Bro Show, we don't have a huge budget. In fact, our budget's really small, but we do what we can. We're interested in female bros and male bros that would like to talk about something that's extremely important to them, to their mental wellness. In the meantime, we're going to be signing out. Thank you very much for joining us. Johnny, I'm going to take you out, bro.
Okay.
I'll talk to you after the show. And I'm taking myself out. And when I take myself out, a couple of minutes, just take a look at my Canadian Bro Show and my new thumbnail. And thanks again for joining. We'll see you next week. Take care. All the best. And be kind out there, everybody. Make somebody's day. Make somebody's life. Just be kind. It's free. Peace.